Orbital Blues is a lo-fi space western TTRPG written by Sam Slaney and Zachary Cox. Set in a far future of hypercapitalism and extreme gig economy, you and your fellow players portray interstellar outlaws trying to make their big break while dealing with their own troubles. Take a seat in your rusty spaceship, put on your cowboy hat, and feel the big sad as we dive into Orbital Blues. The PDF is 214 pages long with full-color covers and interior art. The art style evokes the late 20th century vibes the game is going for. Pictures of American-style diners are next to art of spaceships, and some pages include advertisements for fictional corporations. Chapters are separated by full-page art or photo collages. It's hard to find a balance between functional design and things that just look cool. In my opinion, a good rulebook design captures the vibes and themes of the game in a visual medium while still making it easy to find information you need. While I do think Orbital Blues goes a bit overboard on some pages, important information is still clearly highlighted by bold text and clear headers. The PDF also has excellent bookmarks, so you can still quickly find whatever information you're looking for. Character creation focuses on your stats, the crew, hearts and blues, and gambits and troubles. Each character has 3 stats, one of them starting out at +2, one at +1, and one at +0. The stats are muscle, for your strength and physical endurance, grit, for your tenacity, and savvy, your speed and wit. Once you have your concept and stats, you and the other players think about your crew as a whole. To help you come up with pre-existing relationships, the game offers 2 pages of titles you can use to describe your own character or those of your fellow crewmates. You might say that one of your fellow characters is the lonely heart, looking for love in all the wrong places, and you have become the rock for them after yet another burned up affair. Collaboration is important here, and I feel like the titles are great conversation starters to establish bonds between the characters. Hearts is this game's version of hit points, but you can also spend it to exert your character and reroll dice. Blues increases as you deal with your troubles, and those two work in tandem for character advancement. More on that in a little bit. Finally, gambits are your character's cool abilities that provide advantages in certain circumstances. For example, the gambit Ace Pilot gives you more options when piloting ships, while the Captain gives whoever you order to do something a bonus on their roll when they do that something. Alright, we got our space cowboys with their gambits and their troubles, but how do we get them into even more trouble? Let's talk about the mechanics. Whenever the outcome of an action is uncertain in Orbital Blues, you make a stat check. You pick a stat that applies, roll 2d6, and add your modifier to it. If the total is 8 or higher, you succeed. If it's lower, you fail. Sometimes, the odds might be in your favor, or one of your gambits might be helping you. That's when you roll with the upper hand. In that case, roll 3d6, pick the 2 best results, and then add your modifier. When the odds are against you, you literally roll against the odds, meaning you roll 3d6, pick the 2 lowest results, and add your modifier. Observation checks are flat rolls of 2d6, used whenever your character is trying to gather more details and information in a scene. A character can decide to exert themselves on almost any roll they make. When exerting, you spend any number of heart and reroll an equal number of dice. Note that you cannot reroll a die that has already been rerolled. In a game called Orbital Blues, focusing on interstellar outlaws doing outlaw things while dealing with their troubles, it is only fitting that blues is an actual in-game mechanic. Whenever confronted with their troubles, a character makes a blues check by rolling 2d6 and adding their grit. If the total is 7 or lower, the feeling of sadness passes, but an 8 or higher means you gain 1 blues. For example, if your trouble is best served cold, your character will make a blues check when they have to deal with whoever betrayed them. Once your character has 8 or more blues, you can declare that trouble's brewing. Your character will seek to face the source of their trouble and can for the rest of the scene spend blues to exert. You also take half damage. Once the scene is over, your blues resets to 0, you pick a new trouble, and increase one of your stats. Trouble's Brewing is Orbital Blues' leveling mechanic, and I absolutely love how it integrates the themes of the game. In order to advance, your character needs to be exposed to their trouble to gain blues so they can declare that trouble's brewing. Dealing with one trouble, however, only leads into another trouble, and so the character remains in this struggling cycle the game revolves around. A trouble's brewing scene is also a chance to highlight a specific character, and the game even suggests playing their theme song during that scene. This entire system is just elegant, simple, and quite honestly freaking cool. The rest of the book is filled with equipment, vehicles, rules for spaceships, combat, and a lot of other information necessary to run this game. One part I want to highlight is the Running the Game chapter, which is for the storyteller, aka the Game Master. In my opinion, a good advice chapter for GMs focuses on how to establish the game's themes and use its mechanics properly. Orbital Blues does both of these things, with a strong focus on how to make your game get the tone right and translate the lo-fi, retro science fiction vibes to your table. This chapter also teaches the storyteller how to structure an Orbital Blues story and gives great examples of jobs the crew can pick up. Reading this chapter gave me a clear idea of how to run Orbital Blues, and is absolutely helpful to new Orbital Blues storytellers. While I think some of the interior design could be a little bit less funky and more functional, Orbital Blues is undeniably a robust game. The highlight is, in my opinion, the strong mechanical interaction between blues and troubles, and how it urges a player to have their character actually deal with their troubles and advance the plot. The rules as a whole also provide a clear framework on how to be interstellar outlaws with troubled pasts, and possibly even more troubled futures. If you want to check out Orbital Blues, links to the publisher store and DriveThruRPG are in the description below. Thanks for watching, take care, stay safe, and see you soon.